for our update. And also, this is our website, www.cirdap.org, for update about our work. Thank you so much. And now I welcome Ms. Nazlinda binti Zamani to start her presentation. Ma'am, you can share your site. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hurain, for the wonderful introduction. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good, in Malaysia, it's already afternoon. Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to CIRDAP for giving me the opportunity to do a brief presentation about the Malaysia Rural Development Policy and how do we relate it to the Sustainable Development Goal. I also like to give you all a warm welcome for attending this session, and thank you very much for supporting me. Okay, so this is the content of my presentation today. I will give a bit of overview on Malaysia, as well as some data on Malaysia, especially relating to rural, and then also just a bit on what is policy, and then a bit on SDG and how do we implement it in Malaysia. I will also talk about issues and challenges relating to rural development in Malaysia. And what I would say the key of my presentation would be on the rural development policy. And lastly, it will be the key takeaway. So Malaysia defined the rural area as an area less than 10,000 residents outside the local authority zones. This definition is also similar to the one that United Kingdom has. So this is how we define our rural area. And you can see the background picture is actually an actual rural area in the northern state of Malaysia. Okay, so this is a bit on the background, basic statistics on Malaysia. So we got 14 states, and our population is about 32 million, with 24.7% lives in the rural area. So now you can see that majority of Malaysian population
Ma'am, I think your microphone is accidentally switched off. Can you switch? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Sorry. So I will repeat again. So the Malaysian size, we have 14 states, and our population is about 32 million, with 24.7% in the rural area. So I just would like to explain that not necessarily it is because of migration factor, but also when the area is developed, the rural area is developed, so it will have more people coming in, and also the area become urbanized, so it is out of the, it's no longer considered as a rural area. Our poverty rate is at 6.2% as of 2022. This is our last household income survey. And this is actually a slight increment after the COVID-19 pandemic. So the poverty rate for national poverty rate and urban poverty rate increased after the COVID-19. But surprisingly, the poverty rate for rural area actually declined after the COVID-19 pandemic from 12.4% to 12%. So, for unemployment rate, as you can see, the national unemployment rate is at 3.7%. For rural, is slightly higher, 4.6%, and urban 3.5%. I do not show the statistic here, but what we observe after the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw that the unemployment rate for women in the rural area has increased drastically, and we are finding solution on how to overcome this issue. Next, we have our average income, which is about 8,479, which is 1,800 US dollar, or maybe it's more now because ringgit is getting a little bit weaker compared to the US dollar. And also the average income in the rural area is $1,000. To be honest, we don't really like to show this figure because most of our rural population does not relate themselves with earning that sort of money. But because when we use average income, so this is what happened. So you know, it's an average. Not everyone said it, but if we were to put this in a this is a public data, it is a published data. So I'm sharing this with you. It's just that we don't really like to highlight it because not everyone is earning 1,000 ringgit in Malaysia. Next, 1,000 US dollar in Malaysia. Next, we have about 15,434 village committee, and we have about 26,400 villages all around Malaysia. Okay, so I just like to show the trend of the population in our country. As you can see that the red one is the urban area and the green one is the rural area. As we progress throughout the years, so now you can see that it has switched, whereby the rural area has lesser population as compared to the urban area is now getting higher and higher. And I think this trend is the same all around the world. I've looked into data of rural and urban population. Most of the developing countries or going towards developed country status, they will have this sort of figure. And for developed country, the urban and rural population is much more, the urban population is way much more higher than the rural area. And also, when we talk about rural area, usually people will have the mindset or expectation that more older people live in the rural area. But as you can see that in Malaysia, we still have the productive age staying in the rural area. So from the age of 15 to 30 years old is still the highest population in the rural area. Also, when we talk about male and female in Malaysia, actually the not much different between male and female, whether in urban or rural area, is mostly about the same, so balanced population. And also, just to share a bit of the internal migration in Malaysia. So R stands for rural and U for urban. So as you can see, the blue one, so actually the highest migration in Malaysia occurs is from urban to urban area. And the next one is urban to rural rather than rural to urban. Usually people will say, oh, a lot of people migrate to the urban area, but data shows otherwise. Okay, so this is the monthly income of Malaysia, the average monthly income. As you can see that as we go higher, the gap between the urban and, sorry, I forgot to translate that, luar bandar is actually rural. So the pink one is rural. So as you can see that the average income, as we go, as we progress, the income gets higher, but also the gap between the urban and rural income also widen. So this is an issue that we have recognized, and we have a number of strategies and programs to overcome this issue. Okay, so poverty rate, also you can see, is declining over the years. However, in 2016, we have changed the way we calculate poverty rate to make sure that it is in line with the current situation. So when we change the, what you call that, the poverty line income, the income poverty rate looks like it is increased. But actually, if we were to use the same poverty line income, you will see that after 2016, the poverty rate is still going down. So I put a note there. PLI stands for poverty line income. So in Malaysia, this is our poverty line income. So anybody who earns, this is the current one. Anybody who earns below 554, approximately 554 US dollar, is considered poor. So hardcore poor will be about 250 US dollar. So you are considered as hardcore poor. So these are the latest poverty statistics for Malaysia. Okay, so I just like to say, I think all of us here are policymakers, but I think this is some of the policy that Malaysia has. So we have the rural development policy. The second one relates to food and agriculture. We have tourism policy, we have transportation policy, and we also have entrepreneurship policy. These are just only a few, but most of the ministries will have their own policy. So for Malaysia, policy act as a basic framework in the implementation of the government plan, and it is developed to meet socio-economic objectives such as economic growth, income distribution, stability, and welfare. And all of our policy is followed by an action plan. And this action plan is not only involving the state ministry. For example, if rural development policy, the action plan include rural development policy, but also other ministries that will help to achieve the goal that has been set out in the policy. The same goes for the agriculture policy, transportation policy, and entrepreneurship policy. So in Malaysia, how the policy is developed, so we will have to do a consultation with private sector, with our target group, with our stakeholders. Usually after we do a series of engagement, then we will start to write up the policy, and we also have to undergo impact assessment to ensure that our policy, what sort of impact that our policy or act will have to the country and to our target group. So these are some of the policy that relates to the rural development policy. The 12 Malaysia plan is actually a national plan. Every 5 years, Malaysia will have a new master plan, I would say. So as you can see, the 12 Malaysian plan will expire in 2025. So I think towards the end of this year, we will start doing engagement and also consultation to develop the 13th Malaysian plan. And then the second one is actually our rural development policy and also the SDG. So in Malaysia, I think everyone here knows about SDG, and I don't intend to explain what each goes, but as you can see that SDG have 169 goals, 169 targets, and 241 indicators. And in Malaysia, we have a monitoring mechanism for SDG. So we have a SDG Council that is chaired by the Prime Minister, and also we have the steering committee chaired by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Economy, and we have 5 working groups to monitor the implementation of each SDG goals. And also we have members from UN agencies, private sector, NGO, and CSOs in every working committee, and they can share whatever program that they have done to ensure that the SDG, to ensure that Malaysia achieve its SDG goals. So I'm sharing with you some of the snapshot of the achievement of our SDG indicator. I know this is a little bit small, but as you can see that for every SDG goal, we have, I have stated here the what are our achievement and milestone. I think this one is for the year 2022. So you can see that we are talking about incident of absolute poverty, and also sanitation service, and also numbers of recipient assistance. That is for the no poverty goal. For zero hunger, we also have some data that is not available. Sorry. As you can see that there's also number of animal genetic resources. And next we have on good health and well-being, where we have a number of indicators, including the numbers of doctors, dentists, midwife personnel, as well as registered nurse and pharmacists. Next, we also have a quality of education, where we also measures a proportion of adults using computers and ICTs. We have the number of participation rate in preschool. We also have literacy rate. Next, some of the snapshot is also on the gender equality, where we have proportion of seat held by women in national parliament, proportion of women in managerial posts, and also proportion of mobile phone ownership among men and women. This is like some sort of part of the communication. We also have a snapshot on affordable and clean energy, whereby, as you can see, we also have the number of population with access to electricity. We have a renewable energy share in vis-a-vis total energy consumption, and we also have constant GDP at constant price for energy intensity. Next, we have decent work growth. So we talk about rates of fatal and non-fatal accident at the workplace, injury rate. We also have annual growth of real GDP per capita for employment, and also the mean salaries and wages for employees. And also we have declared our unemployment rate. We also have industry, innovation, and infrastructure, where we declare the manufacturing employment as a proportion of total employment, and also according to strata, whether it's in urban or rural area, proportion of population covered by mobile network, and also numbers of passengers by type of transportation services. We also have on reduced inequalities, we talk about remittance cost as a proportion of the amount remitted, compensation of employees. For sustainable cities and communities, we have annual mean level of fine particulate matter in cities. For clean water and sanitation, of course, we talk about the coverage of water supply, as well as proportion of transboundary basin area with operational arrangement for water cooperation. We also have on responsible consumption and production, where we have figures for scheduled waste management and also tons of materials recycled. And not to worry, later I will share the slide with you, and Ms. Koran has informed me that this slide will be uploaded to CIRDAP website. We also have indicators, reporting indicators for climate action, such as number of deaths attributed to disaster per 100,000 population. For life below water, we declare on coverage of protected areas in relation to marine areas. Life on land, we talk about, we declared our figure on number of wildlife crime cases by category. On the peace, justice, and strong institution, we have numbers of reported violent crime by type of crime, and also unsentenced detainees. And then for partnership of goals, we have total government revenue as a proportion of GDP, as well as individual using internet for the year 2021. Okay, so these are some of the snapshot of SDG indicators. So issues and challenges, this is where I would like to proceed with issues and challenges faced in the rural area, and also how what we government take into account when we develop our rural development policy. So number one, I think this is similar to all countries around the world, especially in CIRDAP member countries. Number one is the decreasing rural population. You can see in the graph that I showed earlier, the numbers of urban population is currently at urban is at 70%, 75%, and rural area at 24%. And you can also see the widening income gap between rural and urban area. I show it in the graph earlier as well. Number three is about keeping up with Industrial Revolution 4.0 or new technologies. I believe that everyone must feel that the usage of mobile phone, internet, and online, online application has increased dramatically after the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, now we also have like what we are doing now, webinar, which is not really common before the pandemic, but now it becomes increasingly common all around the world. So we need to make sure that the rural population keeps up with the IR 4.0 and new technologies. Sometimes there's a view saying that, the rural people doesn't need all these technologies. So are you saying that you want to isolate them from new technologies or new environment? In Malaysia, for example, when you talk about banking nowadays, a lot of transaction has been done through online banking, including in the rural area, especially those rural area that is not remote, where internet connection is pretty good. So if the if the rural population does not know how to use online banking, they will be left behind. Also for our children in the rural area. So application to go to university, to go to colleges now are being done online. I think that if they are not aware or do not know how to apply or use online application, they can't go to the university. We can't have that happen in our rural area. If not, they are not able. If not, then we are not able to develop our rural area if they are left behind from technologies. Just to share, in Malaysia, I can see that a lot of hotels nowadays and also supermarket as well as fast food restaurant are now using self-service or self-checkout counter. So it is quite common. So I saw recently, I just came back from a hotel from the northern part of Malaysia. To check in, they have only one receptionist and they have 2 or 3 machines for online check-in. Also, if you go to McDonald's in Malaysia, most of the McDonald's, most of the McDonald's in Malaysia will have a minimum 2 self-service machine. There's only one person in charge of counter service. The rest are done by machine or by mobile phone apps. Okay, so very important for our rural dwellers to keep up with the technologies. And also, we talk about agriculture nowadays, with the smart farming, smart agriculture, they can monitor the health of the plant or of their plant to make sure that enough water, enough nutrient, and they can make sure that then this can help to increase their productivity in the agriculture sector. So for number 4, we can see that rural area also can increasing number of agriculture shifting to services sector. So meaning that now they are not only just a agriculture producer, but they also provide service. I think if you can see more and more rural area has developed to become rural tourism or agro-tourism. This is a part of a service sector to value add and to increase income for the rural population. Also, another challenge that we are facing is also declining rural population below 65 years old. Because we need productive age group, productive people to contribute to the village development. And also the other challenge is on tackling pocket of poverty. So on average, we say maybe like in Malaysia, the poverty rate is getting lower, but we still have issues of pocket of poverty that we need to solve. Okay, so for the rural, we are going now on rural development policy. Let me just walk through some of the our rural development policy throughout the years. So we achieved our independence from the British in 1957. And after that, we focus more on providing basic infrastructure and also modernization and diversification of crop. So basic infrastructure like water, electricity, road access. So these are very important for rural development. And also for crop, Malaysia previously is a heavily reliant paddy producer. Now we have branched out to oil palm, rubber, and other commodities. I think Malaysia is the second largest producer of oil palm after Indonesia. So in 1970, our focus is more on poverty eradication, new economic policy. New economic policy is developed because of the racial tension back in 1969, where there's a significant inequality between the Aborigine people or the native compared to the non-Malays. So it has caused it has caused a racial tension. So to ensure that this problem does not occur again, is very important for us to reduce the inequality. And next, we also have the new land development scheme, whereby we provide land to landless farmers to plant oil palm in an estate environment. So meaning that we have like 400, 500 people opening new land and planting oil palm at the same area. So they manage it together as an estate. So this is one of the proof of the successful intervention, and also how Malaysia can become one of the largest producer of oil palm in the world. In 1990, after almost 30 years of independence, after almost 40 years of independence, we start to focus more on human capital development. We develop a new philosophy and strategy for rural development and give emphasis on human capital development. So as you can see, the progress starts from infrastructure, then to economy, and now to human capital development. And also we have more focus on hardcore poor. In 1994, we have community empowerment focus, because we would like to have the community to shape and to develop their own program and strategy for their village. That is the intention. In 2000, we start to expand rural infrastructure and amenities, building bigger roads for connectivity to the rural or to the rural area. And then in 2009, we have the rural transformation program, where we give emphasis on infrastructure, including internet access, economic program, including entrepreneurship and human capital development. And then we have the rural transformation plan in 2015. 2018, we have a mini plan of action, and our policy was launched in 2019. So as you can see, that it is after the launching of our sustainable development goal. So for now, we are still using the rural development policy that was developed in 2019, but maybe in a year or two, we need to do a midterm review for the policy. So there is a 10 thrust or 10 main focus of the rural development policy, which is economy, entrepreneurship, human capital, infrastructure, youth, women, rural lifestyle, governance and delivery system, biodiversity and sustainable development, housing, regional development, and rural settlement. So for each of these trusts, we have linked it and to the SDG. So when we achieve the target and indicators in the rural development policy, it also contributes to our achievement in SDG. So number one is about competitive and sustainable economy. So as you can see, it's linked to SDG 1, SDG 2, SDG 8, SDG 9, and SDG 10. So when we develop this policy, it is a priority for us to match it with the SDG goals. So these are the three policy statements of the economic thrust, which is to initiate transformative rural economic activities, producing high quality local products in large quantity to benefit from economy of scale, and also improving the well-being of rural communities. So these are some of the programs that we are doing for us to meet the target and also to achieve what we have planned as stated in the policy statement. So the income enhancement program is actually focused on helping the poor and hardcore poor, and also bottom 40 group. So each participant will receive approximately about 2,000 US dollar, but not in cash, in terms of tools and also training, so that they can generate their own income. So for example, in the picture that you can see, she is actually a roadside food seller. So we give her a wheel card, a nice wheel card, and also we train her to do marketing, and also to help her with her business. We can also provide tools and training for agriculture field, sewing. If you want to become a tailor, we can help you with that. If you want to do baking, making cookies or bread, we have training, and also we will provide equipment for you to start. Second is the training and career program, also focus on poor and hardcore poor, but the target group is youth. So we will train them and also teach them with skills including repairing of motorcycles, computers, mobile phone, and we link them to industries so that when they finish their training, they can get immediate employment. So for this training and career program, more than 70% of our participants manage to get a job after they finish their training. Okay, next we also have rural tourism. I think this is a very good program as it's have a cascading effect. So as you can see that tourists here learn how to plant paddy. And we have a number of rural tourism programs which can help the village to prosper, because not only they will come and stay, through the homestay program, they also generate income by, eating at the village restaurant, and the villagers can get a job as a tourist operator or tourist guide. So so this can create employment opportunities and not focusing too much on agriculture activities. And we also have a number of entrepreneurship training and education program. And also we also have industrial complex. So let's say an entrepreneur would like to expand their business, and they would like to and they do not have much income to expand. So this is one of the way we help them without actually giving them cash. So they can move into the industrial complex, and the rent is very, very low, and they also will be provided with machine, and also the electricity and water supply is subsidized, so they can actually lower down their cost of doing business. Okay, next we have on entrepreneurship program as a catalyst for rural economy development. So it is linked to SDG 2, 8, and 10. Sorry, is there a problem? Can you hear me clearly? Okay. All right. So
yes, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Thank you. So SDG 2, 8, and 10. So for entrepreneurship, is actually one of the focus of my ministry, even rural development ministry. We have Ministry of Entrepreneurship, but I would like to say that my ministry would like to be the champion of rural entrepreneurship, because we do not want our rural population to depend solely on agriculture. It's time for us to branch out and diversify our source of income. So for entrepreneurship, the policy statement is as the entrepreneurship as the leading career choice of rural community. Number 2, strengthening entrepreneurship financial and support system, as well as physical facilities in the rural areas. Improving product development and market expansion through online marketing, mainstreaming traditional knowledge and skill, as well as increasing entrepreneurs' ability for transformation. So these are some of the entrepreneurship program. Desa Mall at KPLB is actually an online marketing platform for rural entrepreneurs. We help them because rural area is quite big and vast. So what we are doing is we collect some of their products, especially the non-perishable products, and put it in the in our center in the HQ. And also, so whenever people wants to buy it through online platform, we do not have issues on our postage or transportation. And also we provide training to the rural entrepreneurs on how to market their products online, including packaging, postage, and also how to do videos on social media, in Malaysia, the top is Shopee and Lazada. It's like an Amazon-like platform. And also nowadays, a lot of our entrepreneurs are using TikTok to sell their products. We also have a lot of entrepreneurship training provided by almost all our agencies. Some are hands-on training, some are just classroom training, including on how to manage your business, how to do the to take care of your finances, and also how to expand your business. We also have program for those who are already making it big and would like to export their products to other countries. We also have training for that. And all these training are provided for free for the rural entrepreneurs. We also have the Waste to Wealth program. We are trying to do our part in the environment, whereby we collected waste and also we turn it into products that our entrepreneurs can market. And we also have the entrepreneurship database and program. And also every year we will do what we call Rural Entrepreneurship Carnival, where we will do it in our city center, either in Kuala Lumpur or in Putrajaya. So we will invite all our entrepreneurs to join, so that the people living in the city, in Kuala Lumpur, in Putrajaya, or nearby can get to know our rural products. Products produced by our rural entrepreneurs. So it'll be like a very big event for 3 days and 2 nights. We have a lot of attraction, and they will come so that they can see, they can have a bigger base for what you call that, bigger market, bigger base for their products. Then when they produce more products, then they can cut down their costs. Next is human capital. As you can see, it relates to SDG 4 on education. So this is also important part of my ministry. So my ministry in charge of most of the although we are not the Ministry of Education, but we have education program from preschool up until PhD level. So for policy statement, we have comprehensive rural human capital development, improve teachers and professionalism, as well as upgrading infrastructure in our junior college, inclusive, flexible, and effective capacity development that fulfill the local requirement. Local, when we talk about local, meaning the village requirement, expand the latest model of early childhood education program in the rural area, and changing the mindset of rural community. We are implementing to develop human capital in the rural area. Number one is TVET program. So under my ministry, there's about 276 TVET institutions. So we would like to have to produce more skills workers, so that our rural population can earn more income. So we also would like to reduce stigma about skills or TVET being the second choice as compared to the academic. So and also we have a number of institutions that provides opportunity for dropout school, for dropouts from school dropout, from teenagers for school dropout, so that they can have a marketable skill and they can earn a higher income, even though they do not have the academic qualification. Second is about KEMAS. KEMAS is actually a community development department. Under them, they have about 10,000 preschool, and they have about 10,000 preschool and nursery. So, and the fees of joining the preschool is about $2 per month. It's very, very, very cheap. So it is actually to provide opportunities for rural children to attend preschool before going to primary school. I'm sure you know that if the child does not attend preschool, it will be a bit difficult for them to adjust in primary school. So the preschool is from 4 to 6 years old, and the nursery is from 2 to 4 years old. We don't have that many nursery because nursery will cost we will cost more in terms of operation expenditure. We need more teachers because of the age of the children. So we do not have that many nursery, but we certainly have a lot of preschool in the rural area. We also provide e-learning and simulation in our institution, including in the nursery and preschool. And we also conducted many community programs for community development, including for our head of villages. So community program is also important to strengthen the well-being of the rural community. Again, on 4IR, I have to admit that we don't implement that much training on the fourth industrial revolution, but we do give a number of training on ICT to our rural population through the rural community center. And then we also provide skills training for the rural communities if they want to learn like short courses, like half a day course, especially for women. They can request these sort of courses from our rural community center. So usually the famous or the highly demand courses are sewing courses, baking courses. It's not that we are stereotyping, but when we ask the villagers what sort of short course that you would like, they prefer to have these sort of courses, whatever that is viral. So for example, there's one time in Malaysia, there's a trend of eating and baking bombolini, the fancy donut. I never actually tried that, but there's a time where in Malaysia it's a top thing, bombolini. So everyone wants to learn how to make it. So most of our rural community center have received requests from the women in the rural area on how to make bombolini. And then they would actually sell it, to the nearby villages or to other villages who do not feel, that do not want to make it themselves. So it's actually after attending the short courses, some of them actually venture into, small business. Okay, I think this is the most important part of rural development, which is to have an advanced and complete infrastructure. This relates to SDG 6 and 9. So as you can, I think most of not only CIRDAP member countries, a lot of countries that I interacted with still, spending a lot of money for rural infrastructure. So number one, in the policy statement, we have the complete coverage of rural infrastructure, telecommunication and broadband access at affordable rates. This is important. There's no point having internet access or broadband access, but it is very expensive for the rural population, and also efficient and sustainable public transport in the rural areas. So this is actually the core business of my ministry. So we have received about 3 billion ringgit, which is about 800 million US dollar annually to complete rural infrastructure, especially on the Borneo side in Sabah and Sarawak, and also in Aborigine villages. So rural road includes road from the city or the nearby town to the village area, and also road access within the villages, from one house to another, from the village school to the houses, from the shops around the village to the houses. So the cost of building the rural road, which is from the town or the city center to the rural area, definitely costs more than the one within the villages. Okay, we also have rural electrification program. So we are still completing most of the villages in Malaysia, actually about 97% or 98% already have access to electricity, including through solar for remote area. But we are still completing the 2% more. So what we measure is, electricity supply, and we want to make sure everyone will get 24 hours electricity supply. We also completing rural water supply, our rural water supply. Currently, about 86% of rural area already have clean water supply at their house. So we want to increase that because then we can relieve the people from getting water elsewhere. So if you have more time, if you can save time from finding water sources, then you can focus the time on generating income and do other things. The same for electricity. Electricity can open a lot of opportunities. They can use electric machine, so that whatever work that they are doing becomes faster, their productivity increase. Same as rural water supply. A lot of academician talks about relieving the rural population from getting clean water supply and actually using that time to generate income. Social amenities program is actually to do minor repairs to, let's say, community hall, or at community hall, building bus stop, public toilets, building or improving the sports facilities around the village area. So these are important, because sometimes the villages might have a small budget to build a community hall, but it is not a comfortable one. So these are the money that we use to build a bigger and better community hall. Also, we also have focus on internet connectivity and ICT awareness. So once you have internet access, you also need to educate the people about I would say, it's not say dangerous, but yeah, I would say the risk of using internet. So I think the problem of scammers, people getting duped to transfer money or to make unwarranted purchases. If you use online banking, how to protect your passwords. So we have this as well under the infrastructure. So not only focusing on the infrastructure, the internet connectivity only, but also on how to keep safe, how to maintain your safety when using the internet, and also rural public transportation. Currently, Malaysia have about 24-25% coverage of public transportation in the rural area, but we are still trying to find a good solution, I would say, in terms of rural transportation, because for rural transportation, like buses is a bit too big sometimes, depending on the area. Sometimes you don't get enough people to travel by bus. But if you don't have the bus service, then not everyone can drive or have a motorcycle. So how to balance this request, and also how to ensure that the companies providing the services can be profitable, because it's not sustainable for government to subsidize rural transportation throughout. So we are still trying to find balance. Maybe we are exploring, let's say, using van on demand, for example, using apps, that sort of thing. So we need to make sure that we can keep the cost down so that it is affordable for the rural people to travel to the city and all that. At the same time, making sure that the operator have some profit, not some profit, so that they can continue, or the operation is sustainable. We also need to focus on youth in the rural area. I read a number of articles that sometimes youth feel left out in the rural area, so that's why they migrated. They don't have things that excite them as compared to the city center. So for youth, the SDG that is related to it is SDG 4 and SDG 5. So in Malaysia, we have the Ministry of Youth, but so we have to make sure that our programs does not overlap with what they are doing. So what we are focusing more on things that they are not, that is not implemented by the Ministry of Youth. So for example, we help to support them in the skills education throughout our 276 TVET institution. Also specific grant for youth entrepreneurship, and also this is important to develop patriotism and high moral values, and also to include youth in the rural leadership. So these are some of the programs that we have implemented. We have a specific program for rural entrepreneurship for youth, meaning that only youth can bid budget for that program. So what they have to do is they come up with a proposal or business plan, and then if we think that it is feasible, then we will provide them with a grant to execute or to implement the business. Among the target that they need to achieve is they need to provide job opportunities to the rural people, and also they need to maintain a certain percentage of profit. Okay, also we have a few programs to develop youth leadership, because we want more youth to be involved in the rural leadership. If not, then they will say, I don't care about the village. The older generation said that I don't have to get involved, so I will just do my own thing. So that is what been happening. So now we want to change that, and we want more not aggressive, I would say more youthful, more energetic people to lead the villages with new ideas, so that the village can prosper. We also have a topic or a thrust on women, rural women. This is actually good, because when we were doing the policy, we have the first women minister for rural development. So she said that she wants a specific thrust for women, and I think this is good, because whenever we talk about women in general, they will say that, oh, our program does not discriminate between men and women. We always say that, but sometimes we fail to analyze why certain programs does not get much participation from women. So when we have a specific thrust or topic for women, then we can give more emphasis, and also we can cater the programs to the need for women, to cater the women's need. So here we can see that it is linked to SDG 1, 3, 5, 8, and 10. So number 1, we talk about uplifting rural women economy, optimizing support services for rural women, and also empowerment of rural women leadership. Actually, yesterday I just attended a focus group discussion on how to improve training for our training program for women. So there's a number of interesting requests from the women in the rural area. They said that, for example, the training must be not too long, 2 days, 1 night should be sufficient. And they said that, it helps if they are given some token to attend the courses, because sometimes they are also working. So by attending the training, sometimes they won't get, they are unable to generate or earn income. So they would like to have some token. And also, of course, they said that, if can help to cover in terms of transportation, transportation and accommodation, which we are already doing. So in Malaysia, if we provide training for rural women under my ministry, they will be given, not only for women, actually for men as well. If you're attending training under my ministry, usually we will give them accommodation and we will provide transportation. So for women, we have skills training. So every year we have, although we have a program that we said that we are not specifically stated that it's for women, but 90% of the programs are participants are women. So not only you can see that from the picture is sewing, baking, cooking, and also the like repairing of motorcycle, mobile phone, handicraft. We do that, and we have rural women entrepreneurship program, where we have specific loan program for women. So they and the what you call that the terms and condition are also much more flexible compared to normal loan. So they don't need to have what you call that guarantor for the loan, so they can take up the loan up to 12,000 US dollars. And we also have program for financial literacy, as you're aware that most women are also the financial manager, I would say, in the household. So they need to learn, know more about financial literacy. We also have a women empowerment program where we give talk and training and motivation for women. We have a rural women leadership seminar because we would like to increase the number of rural women in leadership role. And we have 30%, we have a target of 30% women sitting in the Rural Community Management Council. So in Malaysia, you will have head of the villages, and you also have the Rural Community Management Council. So we would like the women to be the chairman or the secretary of the council, so that they have a say in shaping the development of the village. So sometimes women can give a different perspective. And if you want to start doing a bottom-up approach, it is important that we get inputs from everyone in the village, not just the men, but also women. Malaysia is still, I would say, a patriarchy society, more men, patriarchy society, but there is also more, people start to open up on the ideas of women becoming village leaders. So we really have that. At the moment, we have yet to meet the target of 30%. We are at 13 or 14%. I don't have the latest figure yet, but we are at that, and we hope to have more women women step up in the leadership role in the village area. We also have a topic on rural lifestyle. So it's linked to SDG 1, 2, 3, 11, 12, 13, and 16. Rural lifestyle talks about the lifestyle of the rural people. Okay, let's show some of the policy statement. It's about the increasing awareness on healthy lifestyle and also rural living. So I think most of the rural area, the economic activities has changed and the lifestyle has changed, but your habit remains. Just to give you an example, previously, like when you're living in a rural area dominated by agricultural activities, so you tend to eat more carbohydrate, right? Because you need the energy to tend to your farm, to do farm activities. But now, when it's already there's a lot of machines, new technologies, you don't work as hard as you worked 40 or 50 years ago, but your habit, eating habit remains. For example, you still consume rice early in the morning because you are used to it, but actually you are no longer required to use that much of energy because you are, relying on machinery, and also new technologies. So this chapter is actually to provide rural people with more awareness about about their health, and the importance of healthy lifestyle, as well as disaster management. So COSPAN is actually a program for the village people to creating awareness on how to measure to check their blood pressure, to check their glucose level, and this is done by villages to another villages. So the Ministry of Health volunteers will train these volunteers, and these volunteers can help the villages to check their, like I said, blood pressure and glucose level and so on and so forth. But it's just for minor checkup, but not the major one. They still need to go to clinic, and from time to time we will have doctors and nurses come to the village. And also we would like we provided them with health education. Nowadays, for example, cases like breast cancer, cervical cancer, these are becoming much more common, and the rural population need to be educated, because most of the cases when we detected are already at a late stage, so they need to be aware of the early sign. So all these programs, we work together with Ministry of Health. Also the health support program. This is where the program where we bring doctors and nurses to the villages, especially those in the remote areas. Okay, and then we also have the fire prevention and safety training, as well as the risk disaster management training. Lately, we have a lot of cases of heavy flooding, and also bushfire, that sort of thing, and also safety. This is trained by the police, so that villagers can know what to do if we have cases, crime or fire, and not to take matters into their own hand. For example, if you have let's say robbery, right? You're not supposed to beat the thief to death, for example. So these training are to provide that sort of awareness and what to do. And of course, the risk disaster management training is very important, because of if flooding, then the head of villages and the village committee needs to know what to do and how to manage the villages, so that we can reduce a number of deaths, or people who doesn't, because in Malaysia usually we will have a place where you move temporarily, so we need to have that sort of arrangement, and the village, usually it is done by the villagers. They will coordinate together with the government officials once the disaster hit. And also we have a number of recreational programs, like I said, is part of the healthy lifestyle that we would like to implement in the rural area. Good governance and effective delivery system. Our Prime Minister is very big on this issue of good governance and effective delivery system. He always talk about good governance, and it also, of course, definitely is very important for us in the rural area, because with good governance, then the village can be developed effectively and systematically. So we have relation to SDG 5, 16, and 17. So we have in the policy statement, we have integrated and coordinated implementation of rural development policies. We also have effective, efficient, and high integrity in rural governance and charismatic rural leadership. So number one, public-private people partnership. This is very important, because whenever you talk about rural development, people always say that this is the responsibility of the government. But the government can't be everywhere all the time. And also our funds are limited. So if we can have the private sectors and the non-governmental organization to be involved in rural development, it will be a good thing. So not only in terms of infrastructure program, but also on economic program. So based on my experience, I would say that when you want to do an economic program, you will have to do what you call that, a hands-on program, and you have to monitor them closely, especially if the program is new. The thing is, for government officials, we can't be at the village, 24/7. Most probably we will come after the training, we can come once and see how you're doing, and then we will leave the village and we go and visit another village with other participants. Because we have limited resources, we have limited manpower. We can't have, everybody, like a few thousand officers monitoring the programs or hand-holding the villages. We just don't have the resources in Malaysia. So what I can see that if we have a mentor or NGOs, for example, guiding them, the project tend to be successful. Especially for economic or income generating program. So the NGOs will sit there with them and make sure that they are doing things correctly. And then after that, let's say if you do chili fertigation, fertigation technique, for example, for chili, after they have sell, then they will have whatever that amount that they earn is also used to do the second cycle, third cycle, and so on and so forth. So this sort of monitoring activities is still appreciated and needed in the rural area. So that's why I think public-private people partnership is very important. And also, it's always good to have a different view, because sometimes when we sit too long in the government, we will just think of it, one-way solution. But when you talk to the NGOs or the private sectors, they have new innovative way on how to tackle a certain problem. So that's why I think it's very important to have this. Okay, and then we also have an engagement session. My ministry always do this engagement session, minimum 2 or 3 a year. We talk to different group of people to get new ideas for certain topic. So this is what we are doing, and we will continue to do so. And also we have courses for the village committees. So not in Malaysia, the village committee, like I explained earlier, consists of a chairperson, secretary, and we have like 11 bureaus. So the training will go to not only just the village leaders or the secretary, but also for the head of the bureaus. So we have economic bureaus, women bureaus, youth bureau, infrastructure, religion, that sort of thing. So culture. So all these bureaus will also have the opportunity to attend courses. We also have a national village profile system where we keep the profile for all the 15,000 villages. But now we are currently updating the system to include GIS, and also we want to do mapping of the facilities. At the moment now in the system, they also the villages have to declare the facilities that they have. So, but this time we want to do GIS, and we hope to the system can be used for a policy development program, and also data-driven policy making. So that's what we are going using this system for. And also it's a bit easier for us to know the need of each villages by looking at the system. So for example, if the village is have a complete road, for example, so we do not need to build more roads at that village. Or maybe if we look in the system, the the numbers of people living below poverty line is high at that village, so we will come in with specific programs to reduce the poverty rate in that village. We also have a village award program to actually inspire the villagers to to upgrade and develop their village. So not only we look in terms of infrastructure and how they preserve their culture, we also look at their economic activities, initiative by the villagers, and the bonding among them, the cooperation among them. So that are among the criteria for the award. And sometimes we will bring the aspiring villagers to the village that has won an award, so that it can inspire them to emulate the good practices done by other villages. So for number 9, we have biodiversity and sustainable environment. And these relate to SDG 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. I think, as you can see, we cannot like separate village or rural area from the environment. They are close to nature. Whenever you talk about village or rural area, you always imagine that is a place where you can relax and be close to nature. So that is something that we can't run away. So most of these policy statements does not relate directly to my ministry, because we have the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. So, but we still need to include this in the rural development policy, because, like I said, we can't run away from protecting the environment and from rural area. The linkages are very strong. So we have biodiversity, environmental resources management with sustainable demand and supply practices. This is important because some of the rural people, especially in remote areas, still uses forest resources as part of their income generating activities. Clean, safe, and sustainable environment for current and future generation, as well as protection of wildlife habitat and biodiversity areas in the rural area. This is because we still have encroachment by wildlife or wild animals such as elephant and tiger in some of the rural area. So these are some of the programs that is done by my ministry. So I do not put programs done by the Ministry of Environment. So we have a backyard vegetable garden. So meaning that rather than we open up a forest to do agriculture activities, we use whatever open space that we have at our at the house. And this picture is actually at one of our preschool. So usually the preschool area in the preschool in the rural area, they have quite a big land area. So this we are killing two birds with one stone, which is number one, protecting the environment by doing agriculture activities in already a developed area. And also we gave exposure to the young children on agriculture activities. So this is not what you call that child labor, yeah, please don't get it wrong. So we are training the kids on how to plant vegetables, and then once the vegetable grew, they can take home and give it to their parents. So you can see teachers are also helping, and the parents are actually also involved in the vegetable gardens. We also promoting premium ecotourism. So we have some villages, especially on the Borneo side in Sabah, that has ecotourism program and attract a lot of tourists. I have this one village in Sabah. I always like to tell this story because I am amazed with what they can do. So they have a near one of the biggest or largest river in Malaysia. So what they did is one of the activity in the ecotourism is to clean up that river. And you know what? Usually we pay people to clean up the river, but they are actually getting paid for letting the tourists to clean their river. So the tourists actually paid some fee so that they can experience the river cleaning activity. So this is one of the creative way to earn income at the same time taking care of your environment. And also we are still developing on this environmental friendly village. We have yet to come up with a concept, and we hope to do so in the near future. Lastly, we have a trust on housing, regional development, and integrated rural settlement, which relates to SDG 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So for this program, there are 4 policy statements, which is increase home ownership among the target groups in the rural area, because I think after their parents pass away, there's parents will have a few children, and then not all children will get home ownership, will not get to own the family home. Second is comparable quality of life in the rural and urban areas, as well as among the rural regions. So of course we can't get mirror exactly what we have in the city, but that's why we use the word comparable. And then also among the other regions. So we do not want the development gap between one state to another to become wider. And then sustainable and outstanding rural settlement by the year 2020. And also we have programs for Aborigine, Native of Sabah and Sarawak communities. So these are some of the programs. So number one is the housing assistance for the rural poor. This is actually what you call that? We build a house for the rural poor for free. It's actually a 3-bedroom house. So that's actually two type of program in this housing assistance. Either we build a house for you if your house is really in bad condition, or we can also do housing repair. So maybe due to some disaster, there's a your house can still be salvaged and does not need to be rebuilt, then we will just do the repair. But if it's just if it's too much repair, then we will build you a new house at your own land. Number two, we also provide through our what you call that private sector affordable housing in the rural area. But I have to admit that sometimes we are facing problem in terms of loans. So the rural people who are not earning a monthly income with pay slip, so they have problem obtaining loans. We also have a regional development where we develop a certain area, you can as you can see, with proper housing and also economic activities at the nearby area. And usually these houses are targeted for rural poor. The 21st Century Village Program is actually a cooperative-based program where we encourage the village cooperative to implement a high-scale economic activities program. So in this case, as you can see in the picture, it's actually a village tourism program. And also we have a number of community empowerment program, usually in the form of trainings. So I guess I finished slightly early than scheduled, is it? Okay, so as a summary for my presentation today, for me, it's important to link SDG goal to national policies to ensure integration and achievement of goals and targets. So if you localize your SDG, whatever that is achieved through the plan of action of your national policies, it can be translated to achieving the goals of SDG. Rural development is also essential component to achieve SDG goals. And I can say most of the SDG, most or if not all SDG goals are relevant to rural development. So as you can see from the mapping that I've introduced at every chapter of our rural development policy, so I think it covers more or all the SDG goals. And lastly, all the 10 chapters in the rural development policy is reflected in the priority areas and target beneficiaries of Malaysia way forward towards prosperous rural living and meeting the SDG goal. So with that, I thank you very much for listening. Terima kasih is actually thank you in my language. And I am happy to take any question from you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your very comprehensive and important presentation. And now we have almost 58 people joining in our webinar. So if anyone have any questions or any suggestions, comments regarding the presentation, you can ask directly to our honorable speaker, or you can put your questions to our chat. Okay, yes, okay. Dr. Hussein Shahbaz from Iran. Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Good morning to everybody. Thank you very much for the presentation. Really, it was an excellent presentation. We came across to know about the Malaysia development, specifically in rural areas. But the simple question comes, my mind that whether how the Malaysian government defines the poverty. They define it in their own context, actually, based on the daily income or daily calorie consumption, or what is the definition of the poverty in Malaysia? When you say the no poverty, you have to define it. What is your poverty line, or what is the poverty in your context? Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for the question. Let me share again the slide on poverty. Hang on. So Malaysia, we have a poverty line income, which is about ringgit Malaysia 2,589 or 554, approximately $500 now, or slightly lesser, due to our low currency rate at the moment, our weak currency at the moment. So how do we calculate this PLI? The way we calculate it is based on prices of food basket, food basket, and also non-food item. So food item, the total of food item is about 1,300 ringgit. So how we measure, we are basing the food item based on the food that is healthy and usually consumed by Malaysian. So for example, the price of rice, noodles, vegetables, protein. So this based on calorie count for the household of 4, and also this is advised by Ministry of Health, taking into account the current trend of food consumption by Malaysia. And we also have the non-food items such as rent, housing rent, rental or housing loans, transportation costs, utilities, bills, education, expenditure. So these essential items made up the poverty line income. So that's how we come up with that figure, 2,589, or approximately USD $500 now. So anybody who live below the specific amount then is considered as poor, and those living below the poverty line income for food, which is about 1196, if I'm not mistaken, 1169 ringgit, is considered as hardcore poor. So the figure here is shown for poor. So these figures are the poverty incidence in Malaysia, not the hardcore poor. Hardcore poor is less than 1% now. I hope that explains, answer your question, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. So you mean that in your context, the poverty line, the poverty that you defined it is also including the food security and also other security like health security, housing security, and some services security also. You mean you use all this expenditure for a family or for a person, then you define the line of the poverty line in Malaysia. Am I correct, madam?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you also thanks for the CIRDAP and Hurian. Thank you.
Anyone else? I during the presentation, I saw one hand raised. I forgot the name. So now he or she can ask the questions to our speaker. Okay, there is a questions in our chat box. Thank you for this interesting presentation. I'd like to know how your rural population share has declined when migration is higher from your Is the fertility rate lowering on Malaysia? Has there been a reclassification of rural as urban? Also, do you collect a consumption data by household? How is hardcore poor defined and identified? Madam, there's maybe 3 to 4 questions over there, so you can answer one by one. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Miss Horai. Yeah, I can see that. So yes, the fertility rate in Malaysia is declining a little bit at the moment as we are progressing towards becoming a developed nation. So yes, the fertility rate is slightly decreasing now. Even though, like you said, the rural population, I think most of the contribute of the lower numbers of rural population is because when we reclassified the rural area. So when we classified the rural area, so once the area is developed with new infrastructure and the population increase, so it's no longer considered as rural area. So that is why not only the migration, but also the reclassification of rural area. The consumption data we have not every year, but I think every 2 years we have some sort of consumption data. So, but I do not have the latest one in 2022. Supposedly it's released in 2022, but it is not published at the moment. And how do we define the hardcore poor? As I mentioned, the hardcore poor is defined with the poverty line income that does not meet the food requirement, which is about 1,169 ringgit approximately, or about $200. So if you do not meet that requirement, you are considered hardcore poor. So does that answer your question? How we can receive certificate attendance? That one is for Miss Hurain to answer. Is there any experience about backyard agriculture and network? I need to check because aquaculture is usually an expensive expensive program or projects to implement, and also very delicate. So I think there are some women association, fishery association that assist women, but I need to check whether do they have a specific program. Okay, about renewable energy in the villages, we only for electricity supply in remote area, we are using solar because it's much more it's easier to implement or rather than doing it by grid, especially for areas that does not have road access yet. But to expand the renewable energy program, like putting solar panel and in the villages, I think we got a few more years to go, because even in the urban area, the take up of solar panel for energy is still low, because the cost of installing one is still expensive. It's about 8 or 7,000 US dollar per house. Although it can save energy in the future, not many people have an upfront cost for to install the solar panel. The record of the presentation, I'm not sure whether CIRDAP will be able to share, but I'm going to share, Ms. Hura is going to upload my slide in the CIRDAP website. But I also would like to share this link with all of you, that in that link, it consists of my presentation today, our executive summary of rural development policy, and also the SDG report snapshot. These are all published documents from various websites that I just put it in one link.
Okay, actually we are at the very end of our time, but still, if anyone has anything to say or suggestion, we can take one or two more. Actually, we are over the time, so if don't, we can end here. Okay, and we will share our honorable speaker's presentation to our CIRDAP website, so we can go and check it out. So it will be easy to download from there, and also you can download from the Google Drive. Okay, so okay, thank you very much, madam, for your wonderful presentation. Hope we will meet again, and thank you. And thank you all for joining us. So there will be an upcoming webinar of CIRDAP series of 2024. So please join us, and you will get the notifications of those webinars. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, ma'am, again.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hurain, and everyone who's attending. I appreciate your support in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.